Bodie Show. It's time for the Bodie Show. Yo, it's time for the Bodie Show. It's time for the Bodie Show. Yo, it's time for the Bodie Show. Yo, it's time for the Bodie Show. It's time for the...
That was really good.
That was Jay Nash's first beat drop.
It was amazing. I loved it. I was totally dancing over here.
I forgot we had it, and then I remembered. I'm like, we have many other choices when it comes to our intro, outro, and various sundry musical interludes.
It's a good one. I would just put that on loop and just like get down.
Yeah, that can happen. You have access to all the music now, whereas you didn't for a while.
I don't have access to all of it, do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to go to a website.
Oh, well, that sounds hard.
Welcome, listeners. Welcome, friends. Welcome, family. Welcome, people we don't even know, because there's some of you out there, and that's cool. We'd love to get to know you in the Russian Federation and Japan and Chile and Taiwan. Literally, yeah.
Slightly obsessed with our international listenership.
Yeah, and Belgium. No, Julie, not yet. Nobody in Belarus. Julie has joined Steph in the Bodie Show Annex.
She's like determined to be a background.
She's really trying not to participate, but also can't help herself. She just
like
whisper. I don't know if you.
The weirdest possible way.
Julie's participating in the least normal way possible. She's like couldn't stand it, so she had to whisper Belarus.
She's like literally over my shoulder and on FaceTime, like she's in the bushes.
It's totally like she's like stalking. It's like, yes, Julie, you're about to say something. Okay. Moving into the show. We're not even moving on because we haven't even gotten there.
No, we haven't.
All right. I was all kinds of Bodie. I coached both the boys and the girls sessions this morning. So I was out on the water from what?
Listen.
What?
First we have to start with where you are and what happened.
I am on the back porch in Ballackinwood. What happened?
Good.
What do you mean what happened?
Oh, I don't know. Just in general. Now you can talk about what happened that was Bodie. That's the way we do it.
Thank you for setting me on the straight and narrow. Where are you, Stephanie? Where are you?
I'm on structure. Oh, where am I? I am in the Thousand Islands. I'm in my bedroom hiding from my children.
Yeah, the annex. That's what I meant by annex,
yes.
The bedroom. It's
yes.
It's like this your safe space.
Yes, exactly. I am. I'm here in the Thousand Islands. And if you were just about to say what you just did, it was Bodie.
Oh, all kinds of rowing coaching. This morning I coached both the boys and the girls sessions because head coach Kirk and assistant head coach Amy were not there. So they left me, Tomio, and Sam in charge of the dealio, the rowing practices. Coach Brooks is at a race in Mercer County over in New Jersey. He's at the Mid-Atlantic Rowing Championships, junior rowing championships. So it was a very interesting morning because Coach Kirk and Coach Amy don't know this because they're on their way to a wedding, and we determinedly did not call them and ask for any help whatsoever. So when they listen to this, Coach Amy specifically, I don't think Coach Kirk listens to the show. He doesn't have time for silliness. He's business. They'll find out that the buses that take the kids from the school to the boathouse didn't show. And then all of a sudden the girls were like, we're on a bus, we're on our way, which was surprising to me because I'd texted with the athletic director of the school district and he had informed me that there were no buses for the crew team on the schedule that morning. And so we were going to have to cancel practice. So we had the other assistant coaches and I had just decided, all right, well, I guess this isn't happening today. And then I get a text. Turns out, really lovely Irish man who's a bus driver for the school district. Len had a gig to take the track team, but like they only needed one bus, and then he saw a bunch of rowers standing around waiting, and so he's like, "Hey, you guys need a ride?" And so like the bus services stepped up, and bus drivers get a real raw deal in terms of reputation. Like it's not like everybody's like, "Oh, school bus drivers are amazing," but that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
So he saved rowing practice, and I told him that after the fact, and I like made sure the kids know that they needed to be very grateful and thankful to him and polite and not yell too much while he was driving around. But I got to be out in the water. It was a gorgeous morning. It was like cool, bright sun, blue sky. All the leaves are out. All the flowers are out. There were turtles everywhere. Zero wind. There wasn't a lot of traffic because there's some races that are happening. So like half the crews were elsewhere. Oh, it was
Why
great.
are you coaching boys and girls?
Because we run girls practice at 7:30 in the morning and boys practice at 10:30 in the morning on Saturdays.
Oh, so first girls and then boys.
Yeah, and that's how it works during the week too.
Got it.
So that was pretty boaty for me. I was doing that.
Were you in the same place that you and I were on the Schuylkill?
Yeah, very soon. I drove a wakeless launch today. Actually,
Oh, you did.
tried as hard as I could to like disprove that to make a wake. Yeah,
Yeah, I bet. I just guessed that was your approach.
but it was cool. This is going to be a very rowy show. It's like a subcategory of boaty is rowy. I'm not really hearing that you're all that impressed with that term.
Rowy? Well, I just wanted to rhyme with boaty like floaty does, but that's what I'll work on that. I'll work on that. The next time you start to geek out on something, that's what my brain will be doing.
Roti? That's a type of bread.
Roti.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
this is definitely getting edited out. Nobody wants to hear that kind of stumbling nonsense.
Right, so that's what you did.
Yeah, you tell me. What's up? What did you do that's boaty? Since last we spoke.
I guess I'm trying to think since last we spoke. Definitely I've been out in the boat, but I think the big news for me is that my friend Eric came over to work on the houseboat. You will remember that there were some issues with the houseboat and the battery situation, right? And bilge pumps and batteries, like the bane of all boaters' existences.
Yes.
And the good news is Eric has got it all dialed in and it's all ready to go.
Eric Misenko, you are the man. Gets the applause.
Do you want me to try to explain what I understand of what happened?
I want you to not just try. There is no try. Try not. Do or do not.
Do or do not. There is no try. I don't know that I can do this, but I'm going to try because I think it's a good exercise. You ready?
Lay it on us.
There are 3 batteries in the bottom of the houseboat. They are in series, one connected to the next, connected to the next. None of them were working. There was no power to the boat. We plugged it in. We had a battery charger. Nothing was happening. And then Eric figured out there was a problem with the connections on the first battery. So he took everything off the first battery and connected it off to the second and third batteries, and everything worked fine. So there was a problem with the first battery. I don't know what that problem was. No, it was a problem with the connections. And so he changed the connections. Is there a different word for that?
No.
Wires?
No, that's literally the perfect word for it.
He changed the connections to the first battery. Then he hooked everything back up to the first battery and everything still worked correctly.
That's awesome. So you don't have to get new batteries.
Yeah.
That's a big deal because batteries are friggin' expensive right now.
Some kind of corrosion that's in that. That's all I know. I don't know why it corroded. I don't know if it will ever corrode again.
Yeah.
But there was corrosion and now the connections are fixed and now it's all rock and roll.
Did he put any dielectric grease on the connections? Did he talk about that?
Oh my God, he said dielectric grease. You people are like this. You share a brain. What the? Anyway, you can imagine my enthusiasm when I heard him say something like dielectric grease. I mean,
were you like, is that like an L. Ron Hubbard thing?
No, but it's so ridiculous. I just love it when people have words and they become normal to you, but when they're not normal to you and you hear them, you're like, that's a weird ass word. Dielectric grease is a very weird word.
It's a good
word. I mean, and we even talked about what it was and that whole thing, and it makes perfect sense.
Is grease a weird word to you?
Well, it just depends on the context. But if you put the word grease with almost anything, it gets weird. Just like a lot of boaty stuff. Remember when I was trying to get what was that whole thing?
The This is actually good to talk about weird words
I just got
when you
to
make them boaty, like your trailer
Yeah.
hitch.
I wanted to get a whale. I wanted to get a hitch for my car. I don't remember. I have a new car. I wanted to be able to tow my boat around. Like it's reasonable. But there I am, and I'm like, and then everyone's like, well, what size balls do you need, or whatever the hell? What were they talking about? I was
Balls
like,
and tongues.
balls and tongues, and I was like, this feels very awkward. I'm like walking in the Napa talking about balls and tongues, and I'm like, I don't know.
You were so frustrated because I think you'd gotten like one ball, but it was the wrong ball, and you were like, which ball do I need? I have a lot of ball. I have different sized balls now, and you were realizing what you were saying. And this was before you retired from being a normal person, and you got slightly uncomfortable when you were using these words.
It was a little awkward. I mean, I have to say, like, I am fine not knowing what I'm talking about, but it's one thing to not know what you're talking about, and then have to be like, walking into random parts stores and talking about balls and tongues. I mean, I did it. It was a little weird.
It's like a parable for life. Like, okay, it's a little weird, but I did it.
It's a leap of faith, right?
Yes.
You're like, I'm going to ask this nice gentleman about balls, and everything will be fine.
And then he will in return ask me about my tongue.
And I'm like, I'm just trying to like roll with it, right? You're just like, it's fine. Anyway, so we made it through all of that. And then it turns out my car isn't rated for a trailer hitch, so I can't.
Which I think is bullshit. I think that's Audi just being all of the good words for describing weak and pathetic have been taken from me, and I'm okay with it because we're moving on in the world. But like Audi, really, you can't put a trailer hitch on an A4 wagon.
I can't.
What kind of weak ass shit is that?
Yeah, it's a great question.
And I'm not even going to beep out that S word this time. I'm going to leave it.
I know you did a lot of beeping the swear words.
I was so excited. I figured out how to beep stuff out. So like bleeping all. Like I was kind of hoping there was more swear words that I could bleep.
Would you like me to swear less?
No.
I might be able to comply with that. I might not.
No, you just got to be yourself. Say what you say.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Where were we going with that? I can't remember.
Well, we slid off track on dielectric grease.
Oh, right. The houseboat might be in the water this week.
Wow. Eric Masenko's the best.
I know. And he we did have a little conversation. He's all caught up on boaty shows. He's stoked, but I did make a note to him. I did say to him, we don't talk about sailing much.
Yeah.
And he said, I noticed that.
He's right. He has an amazing custom double ender ocean crossing world hopping sailboat that he has been it came to him in like pretty good shape, but he has been just making this thing amazing. This boat has crossed the Atlantic at least twice, once over, once back. I believe that it's been through the Panama Canal and over to at least Hawaii and back.
Well, let's bring him on for Rear Admiral one of these days.
Yeah.
And he can tell us all about it.
Yeah. And I have been actually I've had some sailing dreams recently, and then somehow the
really, like actual dreams?
Yeah, like I was dreaming about sailing, and then somehow the Instagram algorithm literally figured that shit out, and so like I'm getting all kinds of sailing content popping up, and I've been getting like lots and lots of laser. A laser is a type of really fun little sailboat to sail. I've been getting lots of laser content served up by the algorithm. I'm like,
so you just made that comment as if that we were all supposed to just pass over the fact that you think your algorithms are picking up on your actual dreams while you're sleeping.
The algorithm, it knows a lot about what's going on, and it shows me what I want to see.
I know, but it's not really like. Do you plug it into your brain when you go to bed? Because like you're in informatics, so maybe you do.
No, I don't plug it into my brain.
Not funny.
Yeah.
Not funny enough.
No, it's fine. It's funny, but I think it's funnier when like I go. Nobody knows what informatics is. It's better that way. I do work in informatics. I am. That's in my job title, but nobody knows what it is, which is helpful and in some ways challenging because I don't think my boss knows what I do.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that sometimes.
No.
We covered that's what
houseboat update may go in this week.
Yes, I cleaned it.
We need like the news sound.
I want everyone to know that I cleaned it as well on the inside, not the outside. I'm proud of that. I feel good about it. I cleaned it.
Nice job, Stephanie.
Thank you. Tomorrow is Mother's Day.
So Patrick's coming over to sit and blast the zebra mussels off the bottom of the houseboat.
No. Julie and I have a long tradition of scraping zebra mussels off the bottom of the houseboat on Mother's Day.
I did not know that. You can't make this shit up. Tell us more.
And drinking rosé prosecco at the same time. So that's what we'll be doing for Mother's Day. It's actually really fun and completely unnecessary work, which is the only kind of work we like.
Okay, that's great. Julie, how many times have you scraped zebra mussels off the bottom of the houseboat on Mother's Day? How many times?
Do we do it once or twice?
I think we've only done it once.
Philip watched us.
But we're still calling it a long tradition.
I mean, for something that on Mother's Day to happen once on Mother's Day, that's already a long tradition. You know what I mean? It's like it gets handicapped.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's exactly right.
And Philip watched. Philip was like, "Can't we just go to brunch or something?" But you guys are like drinking prosecco and scraping mussels.
Yeah, it's actually really satisfying because it's really easy. They come off really easily. That's the thing. So it's like, it's like,
is this part of your Is this part of your strategy? You wait until May?
Well, I could have actually gotten it in the water yesterday, but I was like, but then what will we do on Mother's Day? I will tell you. Go.
I want to say that this conversation is literally why I started this podcast, because before I started this podcast, Steph would say shit like that, and I'd be like, oh my God, I wish there was somebody else here to listen to this. It's like, I can't believe this. Because you literally thought that. And you can't make that up. Okay.
And for all the mothers out there, I think I want to try to articulate this. What's so satisfying about it is that it is unnecessary because, as we said before, the houseboat is not going for speed. But they come off so easily. It's like this easy work. And didn't we feel satisfied when we were done? Very satisfied. I can't remember what we used. Some random piece of cardboard we found somewhere. It's not like we have tools. We just wiped all it was just very satisfying.
We MacGyvered it.
And no matter what, after that, you had made the bottom of the houseboat less zebra mussely. And nobody could take that away from you.
Nobody could take that away from us. Belarus.
Okay. Wait, I'm going to go look at the show notes. We got a lot to talk about, and we spent a lot of time on the houseboat. This was Mother's Day activities. We've talked recent boating adventures.
Yeah.
Boat food, Stephanie. You wanted to talk about boat food today.
I did, because we're getting close to the actual season, right? Pretty soon we're all going to be in our boats and boating about. And boat food is obviously important because if you're Jeff, the only thing you want to do is go directly to the point / the rum runner
Yeah.
and go get order some food.
Yeah.
We also often we need to bring food along.
Well, if you're Steph, all you want to do is go up to the head of Grindstone and go to the beach, and you have to bring food because there isn't a waitress who will give you a rum and tonic and a basket of steamers there.
You're right. That would be great. It would be great if that was there. But yeah, right. So you got to pack up some food and you got to go up there. And so that had me thinking about.
Are we gonna have another summer of chicken salad? We've had 2 so far, separated by many years.
Yeah. I had I don't know what's wrong with me, but I had I had this experience where I tasted chicken salad that somebody brought to a party, and I had a religious experience of some kind. I was stunned and shocked to my core by how amazing chicken salad was. Maybe I had never met it before. I don't know what happened, but I just remember being where did you get this chicken salad?
But this has happened multiple times in the time that I've known you, because the Guzzle, the little market in the little village on our island, they made chicken salad one summer, and it was really good chicken salad, and you tasted that and you're like, oh my God, this chicken salad is amazing, and you bought all the chicken salad that they made always.
Yeah, they used to call them.
That was 10 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
What would you do? You'd call them and what?
Find out like when they were making it. I'm like, do you have this chicken salad?
So you went to a party recently, or like just one?
No, it was a party 10 years ago that I first had the guzzle chicken salad, and then I got obsessed with the guzzle chicken salad. And then, of course, as the guzzle does, it's this little restaurant. Like they're owned by 17 different people, and like every summer. So the chicken salad was never the same. But then last year we found the Price Chopper chicken salad. Remember?
Yes.
And we started buying this chicken salad at the Price Chopper, and then we literally we were made of Price Chopper chicken salad by the time the summer was over.
Yeah.
Like we were like,
significant proportion of our bodies had been metabolized and turned into body from Price Chopper chicken salad. You know what? I want to say that you have solved life, because for you, eating chicken salad was a religious experience, and it has brought like repeated extended periods of joy to your life, and it's just chicken salad.
I know, but the fact that we could get those little tubs of chicken salad, you had the joy. You experienced the joy too.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying that like we should all aspire to be as happy with chicken salad as you are.
The chicken salad was so great because it was all contained, and you could throw it in your cooler and throw it in a box of Triscuits, and then you're like, the Triscuits and the chicken salad were, like it was perfect, perfect boat food. But the story I really wanted to tell was actually about you. Do you remember this story?
No.
Okay. You and I had met, it was a long time ago. We had just met.
Yes.
We had lots of tiny children.
Oh, there's so many. They were all running around all the time. And there was like, we were doing lots of unsafe stuff too.
And you and I were going to go somewhere in the boats. This is all, I don't remember everything. I just remember we were in your kitchen in TI Park.
Yep.
You were like, I just have to get, let me just throw some food together to bring for the kids, and then we're going to rock and roll and go do the blah, blah, whatever the hell it was. I don't know. And then I watched you as you pulled out tortillas and hot dogs from the fridge.
Yep.
And you rolled up the not raw hot dog, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you rolled up the hot dogs and tortillas and packed that shit in a freaking like little to-go thing. You were like, let's go.
Yeah. Right. Because you don't need much, especially if you're feeding kids who don't know any better.
There are a few moments in my life that I really lovingly refer to as these, like, I didn't know you could do it like that moments. And there's probably, I could tell you like 5 stories where I was like, where like the light bulb went off, or just like the horizon was in a different place than where you thought it was. Because you were like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you could just do it like that. Like, it's not like here I was aiming for one thing, and then there's like a completely different thing I should have been aiming for. And I would like to say that watching you roll up cold hot dogs for your children and rock and roll out the door was one of those moments. And I was like, I just remember being like, I don't know this guy very well, but like, that's impressive.
Thank you very much. I will take that, and I will accept that validation. And thank you very much. I'm happy that I had that effect. I had a light bulb moment for you. Yeah. That was back in the days when like my favorite way to roll was like, I would put some diaper wipes in a Ziploc bag, and then like 2 diapers in a cargo short pocket. I'd shove all that in one side, and then I'd shove like a sippy cup or some sort of water bottle in the other cargo short pocket, or maybe my back pocket, and then I'd have a bag of goldfish stashed somewhere. And so I could just go with the kids and we could do stuff, and we did not have to like have all of the accoutrement that you have to have, because the baby industrial complex says you have to have all this shit with you all the time. And I could like,
that the minute he hears this, they're going to make cargo shorts that are actually like a baby accoutrement.
You know what? Good on him. Because I think like if instead of if somebody had invented like a pair of overalls, and I would, for like carrying all your baby shit, I would have bought those. And like, even if it had like a baby carrier built into it, I just had this overalls that was like included all of the pockets I needed for baby shit, and then I could put a baby in the front of the overalls somehow. That would have been good.
Well, you have my attention.
Yeah.
We don't have babies anymore. So
Are you? No, we're not going to have babies anymore.
We're not going to. There's no more babies. However, which makes me less interested in inventing things for babies. But I hope
you are single again. So
I am single again, and yet there will be no babies. So to be clear, I don't know why that's funny, but I'm glad
it's funny because if you get pregnant, it'll be funny. That's a really mean thing to laugh about. But
Look, I'm trying really hard not to make this into a women's health podcast. If we veer into women's health, it's your fault.
I'm actually, I'll own that. Like, if we did that, we can talk about that. Listen,
but
one of the upsides of this podcast is it's not just dudes talking about boats. It's you and me talking about boats. I'm a dude and you are not a dude. So we're definitely trying to appeal to all the people out there who are not a dude.
all the non-dude demographic. That's good. All right, listen, let's stay on track. We have a lot to cover.
Okay. And we have an interview to play.
Oh, we do. Yeah. Tell me who it is again.
It's Audrey.
Audrey. I love Audrey. I met her.
Yeah.
She dumped people over the side of their what do you call that boat?
Oh yeah, she was doing the flip test with our new scullers, which is when a single scull, a single rowing boat is like 11 inches wide. They're really tippy. And so part of learning to go out in one is learning how to get back into one. So when Steph came and watched rowing practice, we came back upriver from the practice we'd run, and Audrey was helping a couple of very new scullers learn how to get back in the boat. It was a warm day, thankfully, and they were like in the Schuylkill River, and I'm looking for something. Hold on, I'll stop looking for something. And yeah, you met Audrey. That's cool. So Audrey is an elite rower. She is training out of the same boathouse where our kids row. She coaches our kids, which is amazing. And I interviewed her because she is a couple of weeks away from going to World Cup 1 and then World Cup 2 in Europe and in preparation for the World Championships. And I met her and her coach were there and another rower who we'll hear from in the interview that we have to play today. Should we play it right now? Let's play it right now. Welcome, everybody, to a special segment of the Bodie Show.
I'm Audrey Boerson. I'm a rower.
That's on brand for rowers.
Yeah.
But you're a lightweight, so you should be actually a lot more crafty and articulate than a typical heavyweight rower.
Oh.
That's the stereotype.
Well, maybe it's an old stereotype.
An old stereotype. Oh.
Hey.
Yeah, there was an off mic.
Good. Now we're making blonde jokes.
Yeah, there was one of those.
Yeah.
But Audrey joins me here in her, I don't even know if you could call this your second home. This might be your first home.
Yeah, it's almost a first home. The amount of time I spend here is equal to or more than that I spend at home.
Right. And where are we?
We're at White Marsh Boat Club in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And I'm part of the high performance team, the Black Sheep Racing here. And we have a lot of rowers. We do a lot of elite rowing, and international races are kind of our goal right now for two of the boats.
Cool. Which are those two boats?
So I'm in the women's lightweight single, and then we also have a women's lightweight quad.
Awesome. And there's one other member of the quad here who is really not going to get on the mic.
Over and join us.
You can watch from the chair.
You
can watch from the chair.
Right there.
Yeah.
Did you not hear me introduce myself? It was terrible.
You're part of, I mean, clearly the single rower, Audrey, is comfortable on her own. You're part of the quad. You could join us, and there's three of us. That's one less than a quad, but still close. You could just sit. All right, that's fine. I don't want to make you. All right.
Yay.
So I know Audrey and her coach Sean because Audrey is also a rowing coach with the junior program where I am a rowing coach. And Sean has coached a whole bunch with our program too, our junior program, which is really sweet for our kids because they're benefiting from the experience and really the expertise of elite level world class working toward the Olympics rowers as, dorky 15-year-olds. I say that with love if any of you rowers are listening. But no, those kids are doing, they're sort of at the front end of what Audrey and her teammates and coach have all done before, which is get out there in all weather, really test and learn about what you're capable of.
It's a little different. I never rowed in high school.
Okay.
So they're adjusting to the age and the maturity of high schoolers.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit of time. So it's it's a unique way to experience the levels of rowing, right? I get to go out and row and work on my technique things, which tend to be small and things that you would maybe think aren't much of a big deal in the whole stroke overall. And I go from that to going and teaching high schoolers, which is a lot more of the basics, like, oh, you have to use your legs a lot more than your arms. And so
Yeah.
it's sometimes hard to make that leap and say, okay, I have to go from me thinking about where my hands are to, okay, I have to tell these rowers, use your legs, and what drills am I going to do to help them use their legs more.
Right.
But I think it's actually really beneficial. And the whole thing is I get to, when I'm out there coaching, I'm always reminded of what are the basics of the stroke. And so many times I get caught up in the minutia of all the little technical things I'm working on, and it sometimes gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so to go out to the high schoolers and be like, just push with your legs.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
That's a really interesting observation. And you work on the micro because could you tell us about some of the time margins of races you've been in?
Yeah.
Win, lose, second, third.
So in February, we had a race called Winter Speed Order, and it was lightweights and open weight women all together. I won the B final, but in the top 5 of that final, there was 1.2 seconds separating me from 5th place.
1.2 across 5 boats, 5 lanes, over 2,000 meters.
And lightweight rowing especially comes down to those point something seconds. You see it at the Olympic level. The lightweight double in 21, I think, had 1 second between the first 5.
Wow.
And then I've been on the bad end of it, 0.76 seconds behind other boats, 0.3 seconds behind in second place, which is tough. And, you get done with that and you're like, oh, if only I had a little bit more, or I could have maybe pushed myself a little bit here or there. In the end, everybody is everyone, their fitness is so much on the same level. We're doing a lot of the same training,
right?
But so much of it does come down to the technique and how can you hold that through fatigue, and how can you perform at higher rates with that technique? Can you hold it? Like that's really what it comes down to sometimes.
Right. So help the listeners understand. So 0.3, 0.7 seconds out of what's the total time for a race? So in those races, like a ballpark, what was the elapsed time for the race?
I would say like 7 minutes, 30-ish seconds, 7:40.
So percentage-wise, that margin between first and fifth of 1.5 seconds is minuscule, right? And the 2,000 meter distance, right? So 1.5 seconds, that's less than a fifth of the length of one of these boats.
I think my win in February came from just like where I was in the stroke, where the person in second was in the stroke.
Right.
I just happened to have, might have been up at the catch, and so I had a little extra surge, and that's what got me across the line first.
So I don't know a ton about like track and speed running, but that sounds like the kind of dynamic that you would have in, like the 100-yard hurdles. Again, that may not even be an event because I don't know anything about running, but like where you are in your foot placement going over the last hurdle, that kind of thing. But this is 2,000 meters in 7.5 minutes. Oh, that's her finish. I'm looking at a picture right now on Audrey's teammate's phone from a high-speed camera. The boats are like stretched out in pixels because of this. And I'm looking at half of the deck of a single separating Audrey from first and second, and then less than that margin between the rest of the boat, between the rest of the boats. Yeah.
It was a crazy finish. I had crossed the line and you just hear beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, I don't know where I came in. I thought I was in first, but I wasn't sure until I was rowing back around and saw my coach, Sean, and I had to hold up a finger and I was like, was that me? And
you were competing in it was open weight and lightweight?
Yeah.
Were there open weight rowers in that B final? Interesting. Interesting, Audrey. This is part of why I wanted to chat with you. Yeah. So in the B final, you were rowing against an open weight rower. You could share her name.
Yeah. So I was in the B final was Kara Kohler. She was a 2021 Olympian. She came in 4th at World Championships in 2023. And I beat her by point something of a second.
How tall are you?
5'4".
How tall is Kara?
6'2".
Yeah. How much did you weigh for that race?
130 pounds.
Kara might be
170 maybe.
Wow. So that's like 40 pounds of muscle mass.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you are making micro adjustments to your handle height and then learning how to do that over a long distance and under significant physical and mental stress, like you're really, really tuning to optimize under these conditions. And going back to what you were talking about with the kids, I have come to think of coaching juniors as I'm coaching not even a single limb, but like groups of limbs and, torso versus legs. And maybe, especially with the younger novice kids, maybe getting to muscle groups, but like groups of muscles.
Yeah. Well, especially with high school boys is they are constantly growing at this stage. And,
right.
and it is very hard to talk about proportions and ratios and where things should be because it's going to change one day to the next, especially over the weeks of the season. You're like, oh, your legs suddenly got way longer and now everything feels a little bit different in the boat because you're not used to it.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's something I struggled to work with at first, but I think I've gotten better since I've been coaching now with you guys for almost 2 years.
Absolutely, you've gotten better. And you coach both boys and girls. Mm-hmm. Will you tell us about some of your observations between those groups of kids?
Ooh, I feel like that really comes down to the boat class sometimes. So I've been coaching a lot of the scullers.
So what's sculling?
Where you have 2 oars.
Yep.
So that's the kind of rowing that I do in the single, and that Katrina does in the quad. And I feel like with girls versus boys, I have a lot more conversations with the girls of what did you feel in the boat, and then then it's prompting them to kind of think about what was happening in that. And I'll prompt the boys with that question, but I feel like with the boys a lot more times I have to kind of point out what I saw instead. And for the most part, that also depends on their experience in the boat. I've been coaching one guy single who's pretty good about the feeling of the boat. And so I can have that conversation of, okay, this is how it felt when you did this. Let's change it. Tell me how it feels now. Just because he's been doing it for a little bit longer than some of the other doubles.
He also is older and he has significantly more prefrontal cortex.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not operating on like mostly brainstem.
Yes. There's a couple of
again said with love.
Well, there's a few rowers where I have to prompt them to push harder, and that's all that I need from them is I just need them to overcome I'm really uncomfortable doing this hard thing. And it's like, well, in a race you're going to be uncomfortable. I need you to push past that right now.
Right.
And so it really depends on the level of those rowers.
So going from that situation with junior rowers who have never felt uncomfortable before, and now they're choosing to. They could have done the debate club or badminton, but they're choosing to be out in the rain and to do something that can really, really push them past that point of comfort. In your elite training, do you still find that there are those milestones or those like inflection points where you are finding a new? I think of things as like I learned to drive on a manual transmission, right? And so I think of moments where you find a new gear.
Yeah. So
just to use that analogy, like has that continued for you in elite training?
Yeah, I feel like the jumps are kind of fewer and more far between. And it's not always just like, oh, how hard can you push yourself? Because at some point, you can't just muscle out a stroke. It does, like I was talking about earlier, come down to a lot of the technique. But even this week, I had felt kind of like at a plateau. And then we had a workout on Wednesday that was really hard and really long, but I found something else on that day. And so I'm really looking forward to taking that and carrying it into the next pieces that we do and into the next race. So, and really it's going to be like when I get out onto the water for those kind of pieces, how quickly can I find that again? And can I keep that throughout the piece?
So access it not just once, but again, and then access it in a consistent way.
Yes.
What was the change?
For me, it was so when you're sitting back at the finish and your oars are out of the water, you tug the boat towards you with your feet. And for me, it was just like I had been thinking about this for a really long time.
Right.
But the other day it changed to, okay, maybe I need to make it sharper, more crisp, and like really feel the difference of the boat. And doing that allowed the boat to run underneath me a lot more. And so I didn't have to work as hard to be up at the rate and to be at the split that I wanted to be.
So to get to your level, I'll I'll assert you already know how to and are capable of pushing your body to the point where you shut down, right? You can do that.
Yeah.
But
it takes a special workout to do that.
yeah, but you can. So now it's all right. Well, you can push yourself beyond all limits. So now it's like, all right, going up to but not crossing that line, and then accessing technique and consistency where you are translating that level of effort into more distance covered over the elapsed, more distance covered, more speed over the elapsed time and length of the course.
Yeah, and I think part of that is sometimes you just need a workout to access that, like going past, I usually call it the red line, like going past that point. And that's when I get mad at Sean, my coach.
When he asks you to go past the red line?
When we're in the middle of a piece and he says, rate or go faster. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm exhausted. I am going upstream in a headwind. I can't do this anymore. But then, like, you have to.
It's your fifth of the 6 days that you're going to train this week.
Yeah, and that's when I get mad.
Yeah, listeners, Sean is off mic, and he just let out like kind of a diabolical chuckle. But also, I think
he sees it in my eyes.
Yeah. Also, this is probably a marker of a great crew coach. Like, it was a little diabolical, but it was also like incredibly supportive and encouraging, and those two things together are a big part of his job.
Yeah, I need that. Like, I need that sometimes, because sometimes I'm so used to, okay, this is what it feels like when I go hard, and I'm just gonna sit here. But that's still like, even
sit here meaning like sit here in that level of effort, in that level of discomfort.
Yeah, it's still hard. It's still uncomfortable. But I've touched it. Like, I know what it feels like.
Right.
So I have to, like, sometimes be pushed beyond that.
Sean, this is happening.
All right, is this happening? Now I'm in?
You're in.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah. Welcome to the Bodie Show, Sean.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I just wanted to editorialize a little bit with the whole idea of, like, pushing in the diabolical laughter. Because we know that those of us who have been there and done that kind of thing have known that athletes in general, we have stops built in, and we need to figure out how to get beyond those stops, and it's very difficult to do on your own. So you need people like me and my diabolical laughter pushing you beyond that, and then you come out the other side, you realize, oh well, I know I was a little bit emotional about it, but wow, I made it, and now I have a new level. That's just how that works. I want
to actually I poke fun with the diabolical comment, but what the best coaches are 200% about helping and assisting, coaching through that barrier, past that stop, and there is like zero sadism in it. Like, that's not at all. I don't mean at all to indicate that. There are coaches out there who they kind of like to torture athletes. One or two, yeah. And okay, maybe that works for athletes, maybe that doesn't. Maybe, but that is not you. Which I think is how you create a really awesome culture in this Black Sheep program of like a lot of mutual support. And, I see Audrey often after she's trained twice during the day, and she's not in a bad mood, which I think is remarkable. It says a lot about Audrey, but I think it also says a lot about the environment that you create for these athletes.
I like to think of it more like a filter. And the real good coffee grounds are the ones who stick behind and who've made it.
Right.
Let the other.
Yeah. But it's not hazing. I think.
No, it's not.
Yeah. There are coaches, and there have been very successful coaches who take an approach of like the coffee filter is actually made up of hazing, and that is a whole different ballgame. There's just different ways to go about it. So
I'll say you can, but I think what's different here is you're pushed beyond your level, beyond what you think your limit is, but then you're also very supportive. I mean, I have a great coach. We have great athletes all around. So you're pushed, and you need that, but then you also need that support afterwards. That comes with it, and you can't just be pushed constantly. I think that's where a lot of coaches have it a little bit wrong. Like, yeah, you can put together this great training plan that pushes your athletes, but if you're not there to support them during and after it, then everything kind of falls apart.
Right.
And so I think that's what's really great about being here with Sean.
When you're working toward the inevitability of winning by 1/10 of a second margins, it takes that kind of approach. I'll share that in my coaching of juniors over the years. I started first 5 years was boys, and I was a lot younger and less mature, and so a lot of it was really just pushing and pushing and pushing. The supportive side of it came from really trying to never make it personal for me, and that's something that I learned early on. And now I coach girls, and they require a different kind of push. Junior girls, I'll say, they're all maturing and developing. We had a hot stretch here on the Schuylkill River in Conshohocken. You may remember it when it was like 80 plus degrees on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Anyhow, in prepping these kids for a race, my goal was to help them find a new red line because they were ready for it, right? They dealt with a bunch of muscle group, like move your legs before your back kind of fundamentals. Now they needed to learn that they could rev higher than the red line that they thought they had before. And there was a lot of protest. And, frankly, I have in the past met sort of protest with barking intensity. I managed to, in this instance, just stay calm and pull back from them out in the launch, get back in and say, okay, well, this is something that you need to do. I know you can do it. And there were a lot of I can'ts. And I said, well, there's a natural consequence here. You can either do 4 pieces or you can do 5 pieces because you're going to do this today. And then I said, you decide. And then I just backed off, and they went and did it. And they were red-faced and in pain, but they had found that. And in a very one-off way, not one-off way, but in a way that's appropriate to 14, 15-year-old girls, I was like, see, I knew you could. And they, yeah, okay, great. Right. So, and I think that injects a degree of trust in the relationship, which is really important when it's day in and day out under all these stressful circumstances. Like, you trust Sean implicitly, right? Mm-hmm. That means that the next time he asks you to go through a stop,
I'll do it.
You'll do it.
I might grumble. I don't know if you swear, but I might go,
and he,
you, then.
And he, I would think, Sean, that you also trust Audrey, right?
Yeah.
Like when she grumbles and there's some.
Well, absolutely. I know that she'll do it anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's the kind of athlete that she is.
Right. Yeah. Right. The grumbling is just part of the process.
Part of the process.
It's processing.
How we deal with stress.
Yeah.
So.
I have to complain about things.
Do you ever curse on the water, Audrey?
Oh, yeah.
Cursing is a beautiful way to deal with stress.
So a lot of times in pieces, my part of my motivation is just to I got to take a F you 10 kind of thing and just see how far I can go. Or, I'm sorry, Katrina, but a couple of days ago,
Katrina never swears.
A couple of days ago, we
really
had these 2K workouts that we were doing, and I was like, okay, 2K is not a lot of time, so it's like I need to crush all of their hopes and dreams in the first 500.
This was your inside voice?
Yeah, that was my inside.
Have you admitted this to Katrina?
Yeah.
All right, so this you guys have already worked this out.
They've heard me have these kind of thoughts towards other athletes. Winter dispute order.
Katrina, in the moment, did you know that Audrey was working to crush your hopes and dreams?
I mean, she doesn't have to try very hard to do that when we're in the same
Given that she practically destroyed a 6'2", 170-pound open weight rower.
I can't say I'm quite at that level yet.
Okay.
But she was off very quickly in those pieces. It was a little depressing at times.
One of the beautiful things about this is that when I'll if it's okay with her, I'll post some pictures of Audrey and Katrina, Sean, everybody, if they're okay with it. You'll see that these people do not look like the sort who would very intently crush others' hopes and dreams. So that's what's great about it. So
I remember Audrey was telling me, because one of the things I have to work on is my elbow jab at the finish and being more aggressive with that. And Audrey said that she imagines that she's jabbing someone behind her with her elbow each time she does it.
Yeah.
I won't name names, but pick your pick your favorite people to hate and jab them with your elbows.
Right.
It works.
Perhaps people who are in charge of, certain arbitrary decisions around your rowing career, I can imagine.
Yeah, or maybe some competitors.
Some competitors, yes. But because this is a good faith, we're all here to compete in good faith sport. We're not going to dwell on that. But sometimes it's a mechanism, a vehicle.
Everybody has their different ways of getting through the race.
Yeah.
It's long, it's hard. You have to have some way to motivate yourself in the third 500.
Yeah.
And for me, I've found that that's what works.
I had this inside voice of stomping on people's throats, right? So hopes and dreams, I get that.
Yeah.
And then when I started coaching the high school boys, they responded really well to that. Like, yeah, stomp on throats. And then the first time I said that to the junior girls here at Lower Merion, when I couldn't contain it, I had the looks of horror on their faces. They're like, oh my God, this guy's a psychopath. So it's good to hear crush hopes and dreams. Yes. Yeah.
Different things motivate different people. That's just what has gotten me through the
Sure.
past 2 races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a non-contact. Sean just said there's only so much you can do in a non-contact sport to tap that part of our brainstem, right? So I think maybe it'd be really fun to hear about the difference between rowing in a single and a quad. So you just said Audrey in the single very easily crushes your hopes and dreams.
Yeah, I am.
And could you introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
sure.
we dove right in.
No, that's okay. I'm Katrina Mielbrecht. I joined Black Sheep Rowing last fall after doing a U23 high performance program in the summer. So still,
And after winning head of the Charles in the lightweight double.
yes, I did do that. That was fun.
That's a big deal. Head of the Charles is a long race. It's miles,
Yeah.
not meters.
Yeah.
And it's effectively a world level head race. That's the kind of race that it is. Head race. It's people come from all over the world to compete in it. So that's remarkable. Nice work.
Yeah, it was my first head of the Charles, and I did it with my college doubles partner as our reunion row, and it was.
And
really
you
fun.
won it?
Well, I mean, Audrey and Sophia, another one of our teammates, won, but we were the lightweight division within the champ doubles, so they were the overall winner.
You won the champ division
We
last fall?
It was we were the
I knew this.
We were the double.
Open, yeah.
And so we won the whole thing, and then
We got second, and we were lightweight, so we got the lightweight gold medal.
Did you know Audrey, Sean, and Sophia? Okay, from prior
I'd
to that?
already planned on coming to Black Sheep after Head of the Charles.
Cool.
I think I met you for the first time at Head of the Charles. I'd met Sophia before, and I met Sean for the first time at Head of the
Oh,
Charles.
nice.
Yeah.
An asterisk to the story, Sean?
Oh yeah, just a small asterisk to the story because we did come away with some wins, and even though Katrina wasn't officially part of the group, I still consider it part of one of our victories. But it's just because I'm greedy this way. But no. So Audrey and Sophia though, and their win, we still think we got to really check up on this, but they won by the largest margin of any race in the history of the regatta.
The history of the Head of the Charles, which goes back into the 55
years or something like that.
That's cool. That's a pretty big asterisk.
Yeah, that's, it's a thing.
Cool. It is a big thing.
Okay.
As lightweights rowing in an open weight event, always very satisfying. I just got some chills thinking about that. Very satisfying.
It's fun to go up against the open weights. I mean, it's a bigger challenge.
Right.
But it is definitely a fun thing that we've been able to do the past few races for that.
Yeah. So more about the quad. So tell us what the quad is. Most of the people that are listening to this don't know, what they know about rowing is what they've heard from me on the podcast. So
Got it.
tell us about the quad.
Okay, 4 people, evidently. Sculling, so 2 oars each. There's not a lot of lightweight events left at the world levels. So this year, the double is at the Olympics. And so the only 2 events at Worlds are the single, which Audrey is going for, and the quad. And we had, with Sophia as the alternate for the double for the Olympics and Audrey going for the single, we had 3 of us left, and we wanted to go for the quad. And so we recruited Liz Martin, who'd rowed with Black Sheep before, and put together a quad. And yeah, we're going for that now. And
what's it like to row a quad? The sensation and sort of difference between single and quad.
I love it. I'm a big boats person. I don't know, it moves so much faster. It feels so much better. It's a nice camaraderie feeling of you're pushing not just for yourself, but for everyone else in the boat as well.
Right.
And so I find, at least for me, that helps me reach a new level and push a little harder. Because I'm doing it for everyone else as well as myself.
Like maybe running a relay instead of just a single event. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just a nice teamwork kind of feeling I like sculling better than sweeping, and a quad is the fastest sculling boat you're going to get, so I like going fast in a quad.
It all adds up, right?
Yeah.
So a quad is, like you said, 4 rowers sculling. It's sculling, so 2 oars each.
Yeah.
And the other big boat, the only bigger boat is the 8, where it's 8 rowers with 1 oar each. Can a quad be faster than an 8?
I think so. I don't know. Depends on how good each boat is. I say I feel better in this quad than I have ever in an 8 and feel faster. So I like to think that we could take down a few 8s.
Yeah.
I'm going to say an 8 probably, if they're all the same level of skill, can be faster. But an 8 you have to drag a coxswain around as well. And
Yeah.
a quad you don't have a coxswain. So
Yeah. An 8 has a coxswain who is the tactician and navigator for the rowers who are basically facing backwards. That's not to say that a rower facing backwards can't be very responsible for tactics and navigation steering, because in a quad, the bow seat, the person who's up in the front rowing, is responsible for a lot of that.
yeah.
Do you row bow?
I do not row bow. Thank God. That's too much responsibility for me. No. Our bow seat is Claire. She is a very good bow. Keeps us together, keeps us not running over logs or crashing into the shore.
Keeps you going in a straight line during
Keeps
the race.
us going in a straight line. We have tow steering in our quad, and the tow who controls it is stroke seat. So
okay.
Liz.
Stroke seat is the 4th person from the front.
Yeah. So
What's tow steering?
it's where you have your wires that connect your shoe to the rudder, so you move your toe left or right to move the rudder to steer the boat.
All while way past your red line.
Yes.
Where-
Luckily,
with
in a
your
race, you're
muscles,
just going
like-
straight, so it's a little easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Claire will make calls to Liz about steering.
Okay.
So good communication exercise.
Yeah, that's a lot going on. That's a really neat dynamic of people working together across not just the physical of moving the boat together, but also navigating the boat together, tactics, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what's your next event? What's happening next? What are you training for right now?
Next up, I'm going to head to Lucerne, Switzerland to compete in World Cup 2 in the single.
Yep.
And then from there, I'm going to head over to Amsterdam, where I'm going to meet up with the quad. We're going to race in the Hollenbecker Regatta and then do a little bit of training over there for about a week after that. Then the quad will come back to the U.S., and I'll go to Poland to race in World Cup 3.
Awesome. World Cup 2, World Cup 3. Are these working toward something? Are these like a series of qualifiers?
Mainly for me, it's just for more international experience. The ultimate goal of the season is to make the World Championship team and podium in the single.
Right.
So these are all kind of really great steps for me to get more exposure racing internationally in the single. So we'll have those 3 races in Europe, and then I'll have to qualify for the World Championship in the U.S. In July.
So there's a ton of travel that goes on with this. You're going to be staying and training in where? In Poland? Switzerland, yeah.
Amsterdam and Poland.
Okay. And so I know that you don't have you train so much that having a full board day job is not practical. And so a big part of actually doing the sport at this level, which is a purely amateur sport, is really gathering the support of a community around you. And so you're both doing some fundraising right now for these trips that you're going to take. I think it's all on GoFundMe.
Yes.
It's all on GoFundMe. Okay, cool. I already have Audrey's, and I'm going to encourage everybody that's listening to this to go check this page out. Part of the fundraising is telling a bit of a story, and you've heard a lot of it, or not a lot of it, you've heard some of it today. Go check these pages out, and anything that you can do to support these athletes and their program is very welcome. It doesn't take a whole lot, but the more people that can put something in, it adds up.
I've had a coach tell me that it was something along the lines of Americans send their team to the Olympics, or, especially in rowing, it's not, our boats aren't funded. So we rely so much on the community and the support and the generosity of people around us to get us that far. We dedicate a lot of time and we make money where we can, but with so many hours of training in a week, it's really hard to, like you said, hold a full-time job. And we're all doing things on the side to try to help fundraise. But we really rely on the generosity of others, and that's just a huge part of where we are right now. And I think the rowing community so far has been really great, to expand that and to kind of show people what else we do and what rowing is about is a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons why Stephanie and I do this show. It's boating, just really life on the water is something that should be accessible to everybody. And every aspect of being on the water, rowing included. I'm really grateful to Sean, Audrey, and Katrina for sharing today. And I'm hopeful that our listeners out there can support them in their endeavor to compete at an international level and travel to all these amazing events. And like you said, Audrey, Americans send rowers to the Olympics, to world championships, like the community at large.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to do this. And I'll just point out that, Audrey doesn't have to coach 14, 15-year-old kids, and yet she chooses to. And you make a little bit of money doing it, but it's also, your 7th or 8th hour on the water. And so we're very grateful to you for what you give our kids, and as you help them grow and develop and learn how to use those legs that just got 2 inches longer last month.
Well, thank you. I've had a lot of fun coaching them this past year. I feel like I've gotten to know them a lot better, and so it's easier to go out there and coach and to watch them really progress and learn every day.
Great. And Katrina, what are the names of the people in your boat?
Stroke seat, Liz, Ashlyn in 3 seat, me in 2 seat, and Claire in bow.
Awesome. So for all of those rowers, check out the GoFundMe pages and help them out. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much. Wasn't that great? Didn't you enjoy that? But you actually haven't heard it yet. So when you listen to this podcast for the first time on Wednesday morning, you'll get to hear that'd be great. We were talking before the interview with Audrey, we were talking about boat food and hot dog wraps. Do you want to keep talking about that, or should we move on to boat of the week?
Well, the only other thing I want to say is that one of my great loves, as you know, is that we somehow happened across like a breakfast sandwich maker machine.
Yes.
Right. So I think it was probably, I have a local thrift shop, which is my super duper favorite. And I think I bought it there, and it just made one breakfast sandwich. And then a couple years later, I went back and there was a side-by-side machine that made 2 breakfast sandwiches at the same time. And if anybody wants me to try to get descriptive here, it's basically like, think of like a George Foreman, blah, blah, panini press, blah, blah, but it has circles. They're like these little circles and like some little these little pieces of Teflon that slide in and out between the circles. So you put the bottom circles down and you stack the English muffin and then the meat and then the cheese. And then you bring down the cuppy thing and you crack the egg into it. And then you put the English muffin on top of that. And then halfway through you slide the little disc out and it lets the top drop to the bottom of the sandwich. And then you let it cook for a minute and then you take it out and you have a perfect breakfast sandwich. The upside of this, besides the fact that it's just perfection in every way.
There's more upside? Wait. There's more.
But wait, there's more. Yeah, you don't have any dishes. Like, it's just this little Teflon thing. Like, think about all the dishes you just avoided. Whatever. You can imagine. So the breakfast sandwich maker has been a staple, as you know well, of pumping out breakfast on the houseboat for many, many years. And then I think it was last year. I have one of my kids doesn't eat eggs and stuff. So we started buying silver dollar pancakes and making those in the breakfast sandwich maker.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So you'd make those, and then we figured out that like you could make anything that's a circle. So I started just shopping for like circular things in the grocery store.
What was on your shopping list?
It's a different way.
Wait, no, wait. What was on your shopping list when you went for the grocery store that time?
I have no idea, but
did it just say circular things?
No, it didn't. It didn't.
It said more than that?
A little more organically than that. I just thought. But going forward, every summer henceforth, the circle-y thing will be on my grocery list. Anything is round. Anything round.
Anything round. What surprising circular things were you able to buy so that you could cook more things on the boat? Okay,
so what happened was I was wandering around in the frozen section and I found Thousand Islands Fishery walleye cakes.
Okay.
Talk about weird words. I mean, this is not as weird as dialectic Greece, but it's still weird. Like, walleye cakes is a weird thing to find at the grocery store. And they're totally local. Like, dude down the road in Redwood, like, caught some walleye and made walleye cakes, and they're, like, frozen circles. And they looked the perfect diameter for the breakfast sandwich maker. So I bought those.
Is it time to tell the story about the guy working at the bait store and the
Yes.
and the perch?
Yes, I just
Because
told
you said a guy from Redwood caught walleye and made walleye cakes. Tell the story.
Okay. All right. So this is back when I was working at Save the River, which is part of why this is funny, is because because I was all like, earnest and concerned in my role as the director of Save the River. And we, in our local bait shop, which is literally a half mile down the road, you used to be able to walk in there and there was a like a freezer, and you could pick up like packs of local perch that somebody caught, and it was frozen. And perch is delicious for those who don't know. And like, it was super awesome.
Makes amazing fish tacos.
Amazing fish tacos. It's so good. It's just like, so being able to run in there and like grab some perch for dinner. It's the only, we don't have any other fresh seafood around here. So this was really exciting. So anyway, one day I go in, there's no perch. The freezer is still there. It's just empty. And I go back in again a couple weeks later and there's still no perch. So you could either be like a consumer and be like, how come there's no perch? Or you could be like earnest to me at Save the River and be like, I wonder if there's like a problem with the fishery. And and be like, and then like try to talk to the dudes at the bait store and be like, is something going on with the perch? Like, what's happening? Is there like a perch problem? And they were just, I remember just like getting this like a little bit of like a dead stare. And then and then it was our friend Paul Pekinas actually who used to work there. And Paul was like, oh no, the guy just has a girlfriend now.
Who is this? Like, oh my God, the perch fishery. There may be something wrong with the food chain. The muskie have died.
They're like, call someone important at the Fish and Wildlife Service? What is happening?
Like, no, Joey just has a girlfriend, so he's not fishing as much.
But this is a little bit of a North Country moment, like a fabulous. Like, this is how the supply chain works in the North Country. It's like, you can have perch as long as dude has nothing else to do. But if dude has something else to do, no perch for you.
If dude's got a girlfriend, he's not going to be out on the ice in the ice hut fishing through a hole. He's going to be shacked up with her.
And what are you going to do? Be mad at him?
No.
Right.
So,
But yeah, there's nobody else you can get perch from, obviously. You can't go get perch from anyone else. You just have to wait till she dumps him, which probably will happen eventually, and maybe you'll get the perch back. You just roll with it, right?
hey, maybe that guy's single too.
Not a dating app, for God's sake.
No. A little bit. Oh, God.
A little bit. Oh, it's boat of the week. We got to go straight to boat of the week.
It's the boat of the week, stable and sleek. Check out that vessel, baby, isn't she sweet? It's the boat of the week, the boat of the week. Ooh, how I love me the boat of the week. Da 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 da. Hey, yeah, let's check out the boat of the week.
There it is. We got a lot of boats, so I'm just going to dive right in. My friend and colleague, Scott Haig, sent a boat called a Fram. He sent actually a Wikipedia article. Fram, forward, is a ship that was used in expeditions in the Arctic and Antarctic regions by the Norwegian explorers Fridtjof Nansen, Otto Sverdrup, Oscar Wistling, and Roald Amundsen. I think I did pretty well pronouncing those. Between 1893 and 1912, it was designed and built by the Scottish-Norwegian shipwright Colin Archer for Fridtjof Nansen's 1893 Arctic expedition, in which the plan was to freeze Fram into the Arctic ice sheet and float with it over the North Pole. That's some Norwegian stuff right there. Fram is preserved as a museum ship at the Fram Museum in Oslo, Norway. So, construction, Nansen's ambition was to explore the Arctic farther north than anyone else. To do that, he'd have to deal with the problem that if you're sailing, the freezing ice could crush the ship. Nansen's idea was to build a ship that could survive the pressure, not by pure strength, but because it would be of a shape designed to let the ice push the ship up, so it would float on top of the ice. Fram is a 3-masted schooner with a total length of 127 feet, 36 feet wide. This is really cool. I didn't read this beforehand. The ship is both unusually wide and unusually shallow in order to better withstand the forces of pressing ice. This is cool. The ship was also carefully insulated to allow the crew to live on board for up to 5 years. Had a windmill.
Oh, no. Please don't put me on the crew. Also, is this the original ice boat?
Yeah, must be.
I mean, the original, like, that's amazing.
That's really
It was
cool.
meant to, like, pop up on top of the ice.
Yeah, the ice would freeze under it and then pop it up.
I can't believe that. That's amazing.
This is really cool. All right. Thank you, Scott. Next. Ready?
I don't know if we've ever had anything in this category before. Because do we know if this ship still exists?
Yeah.
Or is this a historical ship?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, go ahead.
It still exists. It's preserved somewhere. That's what the
Okay.
Wikipedia article said. All right. Next up.
Yes.
The Kruger boats Delta EE 485.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. This is what I would classify as a cocktail cruiser. So it's about 20 feet long. It has a big wraparound sunken living room seat up front. It's white. It has molded in lap strakes, grooves along the hull. It has a big rope rub rail. So it's like a thick hemp rope bumper all around the outside perimeter.
Right. But also, could I just add,
Yes.
It's a really, really big rope rub rail.
5-6 inches wide.
It's really big. Like, I mean, this thing's great in many ways, but that thing right there is the piece de resistance. There's no question.
Interesting. So the rub rail is what does it for you about this boat?
The rub rail and the seating.
The sunken living room. Yeah. And then, like behind the sunken living room seating, which is, you know, table drops down, you've got like giant bed lined with, like backed with cushions. Table pops up and you're sitting there sipping your gin and juice and eating your round, your tasty round walleye cake sandwich.
Yep.
As long as Joey's single. And then behind it, there's a steering wheel on a pedestal and like a big bench seat across the back. I like this boat. Kruger, we had a couple of submissions from, well, I think I actually called it out. Kruger's a boat builder in Poland that makes cool, like small, good-looking workboat type boats.
But is this electric?
I don't know.
I think it is, because there's something in the hashtags that said something about being electric. Or am I, like, do you know what the power situation is on this? Because that's kind of important. I can't believe you just glossed over that whole component of the situation.
Well, I don't have a lot of copy to read about this thing. I'm just looking at the picture on Instagram. There is a hashtag that says bateau électrique, which is
Exactly.
Electric boat in French. I don't speak French, but I think I could figure that out. And
Great work.
yeah, thanks. I actually hope it's not electric, because like what I would love is if this thing actually got up and planed and went. Like, how sweet would that be?
Well, I mean, I do feel like, and also, have we even mentioned that this is your submission?
No, I was trying to gloss
This
that
is
over.
a submission to Boat of the Week, which is the second time this has happened. So I just let's clear the air. I mean, you can't vote on this one.
This is I don't like self-submission. Let's call it auto-submission.
We'll keep working on it.
All right, yeah. I submitted this and I can't vote for it. Let's be clear. I understand that.
I just want to say it's delightful.
Yeah, it's good. All right, next up we're cruising through.
Yeah, let's go.
Johnny Sturgeon's
Yes.
lifeboat converted into a houseboat, submitted by Wasted Time is Fine on Instagram. Johnny Sturgeon, part-time boat builder, full-time bodge jobber, which I think is British for like hacking stuff. So This kid bought one of those used lifeboats that we talked about on a show a while back. It looks like a submarine.
Yeah.
And then went about turning it into like a really sweet houseboat. And he's been doing it for about a year. And there's like really, really cool stuff on his Instagram about this. And he's like installed a nice little kitchen. There's a tile backsplash.
Mm-hmm.
He's put in some built-in seating and a table. Mm-hmm. He like painted it. It was all just sort of hammered old, like sun bleached orange. And he turned it, he painted like a really pretty dark blue.
Dark blue. Put
Put in some big windows, sliding windows instead of sliding doors. There's a sound system, on and on and on. It looks like the inside of like if IKEA made a boat interior display in their store, it would look like this, don't you think?
Which they should. And yes, I do, although I haven't gotten to that part. I'm watching a video right now. I'm watching the video, which is just a piece of the puzzle, but I'm super into it. I do love this an awful lot. This submission is from Gabe. Oh, I like the front hatchy hatch. It reminds me of the Menemsha.
Yeah, I agree.
I gotta say, I mean, my only hesitation is that these are not, you know how I feel about hot boats. The other day I watched a little bit of this, but I'm looking at the kitchen right now and it's very delightful the little kitcheny thing. And Julie and I had the same concern, which is your ability to see out of this thing, because yes, it's a submarine or whatever.
It actually floats on top of the water. It looks like a submarine, but it doesn't go underwater.
It doesn't go underwater, but it also view out of the boat is also important in addition to how the boat looks from the outside. So inside out, like, are you going to get enough visual? But he does have that nice sliding window, so there's a little bit of light in there. And yeah, I watched him make the shower in a video the other day, and that was fun. And it's like cool and red. I don't know. It's cool. It's very cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is neat. When we talked about these lifeboats during a Boat of the Week weeks ago, you said that you weren't into it because of how it looked, but you might be swayed if you saw the interior. So here's an example of somebody really doing a great job with the interior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The only thing I'll say is I just don't think it has enough. For me personally, it's a little low on sight lines from inside out.
Yep. All right. So next
up is the Victory Tug.
Yes, from
Anya Sakharov Cohen of Brooklyn.
Lay it on us. What is this all about?
Well, this is a classic trawler. It's gorgeous. She has, I can't remember now if it was her sister-in-law or a friend of hers that just bought this.
It's on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
That's what that link is to.
Hot.
So it's like.
It's really nice. It's a beautiful little trawler. Is it a trawler fishing boat? Same thing?
It's actually more of a tug design.
More of a tug? Okay, well, I have a little work to do on distinguishing those things, apparently. But it's so adorable. Look at how sweet it is. It doesn't really have tumble home, but it does have that angular tumble home. What do you call that?
Angular tumble home. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It comes at an angle.
That's a tugboat design. So this is the Lord Nelson Victory Tug. It's a brand of recreational trawler designed by James Backus and produced by Lord Nelson Yachts based in Seattle, Washington in the United States.
Back to Seattle.
Oh, God. I think I might need to move there. Delivery of the first 37-foot hull was in 1983. Total of 86 Victory tugs ranging in length from 37 to 49 were built. 49 feet. The tugs are no longer in production, the last one being delivered in 1997. The angular tumble home, that is an interesting observation. So on a tugboat, you'll often see that the hull comes up from the waterline, sort of going outward, and then there's a very distinct line around the perimeter of the tug at which the hull goes back toward the inside. Like so, angles up as it comes away from the water, hits this line, angles back in toward the boat. And I don't know, but I think that's because tugboats are all about like bumping up against stuff. And so this is a way for there to be a protrusion out from the perimeter of the boat that has a really big, thick rub rail on it. And that's what rubs up against whatever the tugboat's pushing around. So it ends up being a functional design element, but it looks really nice because whenever a boat seems to like curve back in toward itself, our eye likes that very much.
I also just like the color. I love the green. I love that there's a little bit of wood. We talked about this last time, like this combination of wood and paint.
Yeah.
That like if it's all wood, it's one thing, right? If it's all paint or if it's all whatever. And then but that combination of the two is at least for me, I really like.
Wood as accent. These things there's what did I say? There's like a bunch of them, and so you could buy one of these things. Looks like they made 75 of the 36 footers.
I love it though. I don't know. I think I'll just go have Anya and her friend give me a ride on it because I'm into it.
The best kind of boat when you're interested in a boat is the one that somebody else has and you can check out and get on and ride around on.
I know. I do love a good sea trial. Do you like that?
I do. Do you need any dialect grease for your sea trial?
I do. With my walleye cakes. All right. What's next?
My walleye cakes are all dielectrically greased.
Don't mix our metaphors.
I'm not mixing anything. You're making it mixed. You're making it entendre.
All right.
Next.
So we have one more, and it's my submission.
Wait, you submitted your own boat of the week? Scandalous.
I'm getting in on the action.
Getting in on the self-submission.
Yeah, whatever. The self-submission, yes. I did drive by this boat the other day. Was driving down Route 12 here in the North Country. And I had to pull a super fast, sketchy U-turn because I saw this boat and I had to go back.
You know you're a boaty person when you're doing U-turns to go back and see a boat that you drove past.
I did a full-on U-turn.
I'll bet a lot of, if not most or all of our listeners have done that U-turn.
I feel like just the way we defined what is a boat early on, first episode. We could also define what is a boat geek by saying, have you ever done that? Basically, have you ever just had to just pull a Yui and go check out a boat?
Yeah, no, that's definitely. If you've whipped a Yui or like screeched to a halt on the side of the road and then walked back up the road to check the boat out, you are an enthusiast. Some Steph will call you a geek. I will say you're an enthusiast.
Okay. Well, I feel like geek is not a pejorative in this case. It's obviously a full compliment.
Only a cool kid would say something like that.
So, just should I explain what it is? I'll try.
Only you know the answer to that question.
All right. Give me a minute. All right. All I know is I went by and I saw a whaler. It's also like, this is the newer kind, right? Like it's got what did you call I call it a tri-hull, the old design on the bottom of a whaler. What did you call it? Something weird like a
Cathedral hull.
Cathedral.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not that. This is more of the deep V version, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
this is a post 95 design where they were like, wait, the cathedral hull was a really bad idea.
Rides like hell.
Rides like hell.
How ironic. So, but this guy has so what this reminds me.
Oh wait, I just got it.
Did you? So this guy reminds me of my old Menemsha, which I was so in love with. You shared pictures on Instagram of that a while ago. But basically, this is a 20-ish foot boat. I'd never seen it before. There's something about it that reminds me a teeny bit of like the Guardian whalers that we talked about when I was out on the West Coast, just because it's all black. There's no red. Maybe they've stopped with the red whaler completely. I don't know. But it's got a little cabin, and then it's got a little windshield hanging out on top of the cabin, and the cabin has portholes. They're not round, so they're not as cool as the Menemsha, but you still have a little cabin with a little stand-up windshield situation on top of it, and a really nice Honda 4-stroke.
Yeah.
So this boat just caught my eye. I just thought.
I went and did a little stalking and figured out that this model is the Eastport. The 205 Eastport, and they made a lot of them, but not forever. There was a limited number of years of these. You said that, I don't know if I like it because it looks like those Grady Whites that we see so many of. This is a design known as a walk around cabin. So you take a boat that would otherwise be fully open and you put a cuddy cabin on it, but you leave the cuddy cabin's actually kind of small and narrow and pops up out of the deck, and then there's just enough space to walk around this cuddy cabin so you can get all the way up to the bow and then walk around back down the other side. So it's a walk around cabin, and it's in some ways a modification of an Express, because you've got this windshield, and these are really great because you're standing behind this cuddy or sitting, because there's a bar stool, basically a tall stool behind the cuddy cabin, and the steering wheel mounts in the back of the cabin. So you've got this cabin blocking the wind, and then you got a little windshield on top of that even. So it's a good weather boat, like to go out and deal with, rain and wind and stuff without necessarily having to have a full enclosure, which is good for you. You want like some shelter, but you do not want an enclosure because of driving at night.
Correct. Right. And I don't know. It appeals to me.
Yeah. And that's a lot of boat in 20 feet. Like it's got a deep V. It's going to ride well. It's got a cabin, so you can go in there and have a little nap. More often than not, that's where you're just going to throw all your junk and leave it in there. And
right.
If you have little kids, like we know a lot of people who ended up with those Grady's because they wanted a place for their kids to go because they didn't want to be stuck in nap jail all day. Yes,
exactly. I was going to say, which I think is a Christy McClutchy term, which she coined the words nap jail, which is so incredibly, it's so good to have a word for that, right?
Yeah.
But
I can't actually leave it's like you're under house arrest because you're in nap jail.
Right, exactly. And this way you could just throw your kid in the front of the boat and just keep on rocking and rolling because the kid's just going to nap in there. Like Sam, my son, both my kids slept so much in the front of the Menemsha, like so much.
Yeah.
And then you're doing what you want to do and your kids are napping and you're having a great time.
You're probably having an even better time.
Kid, go get this Eastport right now.
Yeah, if you have a little kid, go find one of these Eastports. Also, Conquest is another model that's very similar. Yeah.
All right. Is it decision time?
Do you want to make a decision? You never do. Let's make a decision.
I never want to make a decision.
No. We don't do Boat of the Week hippie rules.
I know, but I'm just saying I never want to make a decision, but I'm going to make a decision.
Okay, good. I respect that. There's a cat in the middle of this conversation on FaceTime right now. Those are kissy sounds that you're hearing.
Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Anyway.
Okay. Decision time. The damn cat's back in the face. Very distracting. I'm waiting for it to like stick its butthole in the camera, which cats always seem to do when there's a camera going on. Like the number of times I've been on Teams meetings for work and like somebody's cat's like doing laps in front of them and it's like butthole, cat, butthole, cat. It's more than one. It's happened. All right. That's a stupid rant. That was a dumb rant. Let's pick a boat of the week.
I really like the boat you submitted. I hate to admit it. No, I don't. I'm just trying to be weird. I really like the boat you submitted because of the rub rail and the seating. I really like it.
The Kruger Delta EE.
I really like it. I also really, really like the original ice boat with 17 million sails and a hull that pops up out of it. Julie's nodding, by the way. I don't know if Julie gets a boat, but maybe she gets a half a boat. Julie gets a silent boat.
Julie gets a whispered vote.
A whisper, Belarus.
A creepy whisper from the background.
But I mean, do you think all right, I know this is just give me a second. Do you think when the Fram popped up on top of the ice, did it still move?
Well, the idea was that they would be able to go even further north because they were frozen into ice that was floating north.
Like the ice was going to move the ship?
Yeah, well, sea ice will often like move around. Like you'll end up with a big sheet of sea ice and then it'll move with the current.
That's really optimistic. Like, I hope this chunk of ice goes the right way.
In order to be an explorer in 1893, you had to have that kind of optimism because you're like, all right, like this will totally work out. I'm going to go build a ship that's going to get frozen in ice and it's going to pop up. And then from there, it's like, well, what else? What other good things could happen? It'll float further north.
Yeah. And luckily we can stay on here for 5 years. So it's all good.
That is a cool boat.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm getting sort of like, I'm getting like the shivers that come when you think about boats that are not something you don't want to be on. I mean, it's really cool, but anyway.
But you have to put yourself in the place of an explorer.
No.
You have to. Oh.
No. The Victory Tug is delightful in every way. My own submission, the Whaler, I can't vote on, so I'm going to vote for your submission.
Interesting. Out of all of these, I like the Fram the best.
Now what do we do? Do we does Julie need to whisper a tiebreaker?
Are we deadlocked? I like the Fram the best. I like the Kruger cocktail boat a lot.
Yeah, but you don't get to vote on that one anyway.
No, I know. But I could also like not stealthily lobby. The tugboat's pretty, blah, blah tugboat. That's kind of where I am right now with those. Like, there's sort of like, to me, it's sort of like the basic blonde, like, okay, fine.
Is it dating? All right.
Is this a dating app?
Julie, whisper something from behind me.
This is so weird.
She wants the Kruger.
The Kruger it is, ladies and gentlemen.
That was the weirdest thing earlier.
That was really, really weird. Wow. My self-submitted boat won boat of the week due to the creepy whisper conversation that happened just now. Oh, man. Wow. Well, that was an epic show. All of our people who think that the show should be an hour or less are going to be disappointed yet again.
Again.
And what did I say about that comment?
Right. I think it was basically, if your podcast sucks, it makes sense that you should make it short. But if it's good, you should make it longer.
That's exactly what I said. That was quite a show. We're out.
We're out.
Yo ho ho, that's it for the Bodie Show. Pack the cooler, grab the lines, let's go, go, go. Yo ho ho ho.
That's it for the Bodie Show, everybody. Okay.
Yay!
That was a good one. I'm going to play a little more music for anybody that wants to stick around and listen to Jay lay it down. This is Boat Party.